Welcome to Commerce Snacks. Today I have invited one of my colleagues to our pod, Joachim Löw. Welcome. Could you just give a short presentation of yourself?
Sure. I'm Joachim, work here as a senior advisor at Columbus. I work especially with business to business and large clients in industry and manufacturing.
So large companies and a lot of complex organizations and etc.
Correct.
Perfect. Because traditionally we have been working in selling with the direct sales and dealers and distributors, but over the years we have seen more digital channels to embrace the market. We are implementing EDI, e-com, portal, direct-to-consumer, marketplaces. But how should we think in terms of channel strategy? When to use what?
I think first of all you need to be very explicit with your strategy. It needs to be something that you have agreed on internally, and it needs to be with a high level of intention. We see that many companies today have a very long list of channels that they use, but perhaps not under the level of control needed. We can also see that you can use and you should use different channels in different ways on different markets and towards different target groups, and perhaps even for different products and services. And you have simple channels that can be fairly straightforward from a strategy point of view, like EDI and punch out for order intake, but then we have the more complex ones such as marketplaces, for example.
And when you're talking about marketplaces, what role do you see marketplaces to fulfill?
They can be used for many different things. Sometimes you use them only for brand positioning. You want to establish your brand on a new market. And marketplaces, especially local ones with strong reputation and high level of usage, are very good to establish, again, that brand awareness. Sometimes you use them as a sales channel. Obviously, you want to have lots of sales coming in through that type of marketplace. But coming back to establishing your brand on a new market, they are also excellent for helping you out with warehousing and deliveries. Sometimes you only use them also for making product launches. But you can also see where you have a need for using more than one marketplace. I mentioned just now that there might be a local marketplace on a particular market that is very strong. At the same time, there are the larger marketplaces that are well established on many markets, and then you need to perhaps use both of them, and more than one. When you come to that, though, you also need to start involving brokers, probably.
And when you say broker, what is that?
A broker is usually a system that can help you out to publish product information in more than one channel at the same time.
So more automated, so you can handle more channels.
Right. So when you get to the point where you have that many different channels, and now talking about marketplaces, yes, getting that automation in place is very important. Yep. You can alternatively, of course, also consider using and creating your own marketplace. That's highly dependent on your business model, and it can have some sort of disruptive effect. You need to do it carefully, but again, if you do it with intention, it can be very good.
You can take care of control of the full market.
Exactly.
Okay. When and where do you see when and where should you set up your own e-commerce?
For most companies, this would be the default thing to do, and the starting point. So if you want to start doing online business, having your own web shop and e-commerce solution in place, that's the first thing you should do, especially on your primary markets where you are already well established. A web shop is a very natural thing. You can also see that if you compare it to a marketplace, your own e-commerce solution will enable you to much better provide a tailored customer experience to your selected customer categories. You will also get much better control over the customer data, usage data also of that web shop. And in these days, it's very easy and simple to set up an e-commerce solution. Most platforms can do this. You can do it very quickly and easily. And that includes payment solutions, working with these complex tax setups also if needed.
And if you are like moving into different markets, etc., you can easily switch a payment solution, etc., as well, because the systems becomes more and more open.
Yes, and that's that you'll see quite quickly that you'll need to provide different payment options on different markets.
Yeah.
We can also see that regulations have it's been simplified a bit over recent years. So there are still lots of regulations in place, but nowadays, at least, we can see that they are quite similar from one market to the next.
So it's easier to establish yourself on new market because the systems and solutions are easier, and the regulations, at least in the EU, has been simplified.
Right. So a few years back, you had different regulations on different markets. That's not the same thing these days.
You were also mentioning customers and customers' data. Should you treat customers differently, have their own channel, or?
Yeah, the short answer is yes. You should treat your different type of customers in different ways. I mentioned previously you want to have that tailored type of experience provided. But you also need to consider that when you talk about e-commerce, it's not only about order intake. There's lots of needs post-order that you need to provide. And in this case, we start perhaps not to talk about a web shop, but we talk about customer portals instead. And a customer portal will provide information on order history, of course, payments and invoices, track and trace and all that. It becomes very important to especially your existing customers that are placing frequent orders of perhaps the same thing over and over again.
And it's also a way to create more relevant information. So it could be the assortment that you are allowed to buy. It could be information dependent on your persona. It could be information dependent on how you have actually used the site and your behavior.
Right, so that you get a personalized experience, providing different content, different services, different information, basically depending on the role and the particular customer.
Yeah, and I actually see that as companies today are setting up different kind of customer portals for like European key accounts and for like local key accounts or smaller customers, because there is a need of different kind of information. Because for your larger key account customers, you want to like provide more IoT information, data, so they can work more efficient as well.
Yeah.
And any other things to consider? Example for if I have I'm established in a lot of countries. We have like marketing organizations in different countries. How should we like handle like social media and etc.?
And these are, social media in particular is one of the first things that you'll encounter when starting talking about a channel strategy. You'll come to realize that your different sales units are all using social media, but in different ways. And you don't have much control possibly centrally over that, the messages that are provided in the campaigns that are put out on social media. And you might not even be in control of what traffic, where you lead the traffic from social media to. You want to drive it to your own digital channels. Sometimes you want to do it in collaborations with your distributors, and you want to use your social media channels to drive traffic to their sites and their online channels. That could be part of your channel strategy as well.
Okay. Another topic, how to handle, because I'm reading quite a lot about conflicts regarding to like in-person sales or field service or traditional sales force with digital channels. How should you think there?
I think first of all you shouldn't see it as a conflict. I think that's easy to see it as, okay, we have a traditional field sales setup, and now we're trying to do things online, and there's going to be a conflict. I don't think you should see it that way. So if you approach your channel strategy again with the intention perhaps not to replace necessarily your traditional sales, but you want to strengthen it, then you can set up your different channels as a way to support your traditional sales. You set up so-called hybrid sales model. You make your channels collaboration surfaces between your field sales staff and their customers. And you make sure also that they can benefit from their customers using your online channels.
Meaning from a sales and a quota perspective, etc. So,
Right.
Yeah.
With bonus schemes and all that should be
because
involved.
that is also
Yeah.
always an issue.
Yeah.
And another thing is that certainly we're coming to conflicts regarding to dealers and distributors when we're coming into direct to consumers areas and etc. Because I also have read that in UK, for example, 16% of the sales in manufacturing today is actually direct to consumer, meaning manufacturing selling directly. So that is also conflicts that are coming up automatically, and I don't think that we should go too deep into that today. So.
But I think you shouldn't be afraid of that either. So, especially when you look at the subset of your assortment, you can probably bypass your distributors.
Yeah.
You should even without threatening your relationship with them.
Maybe we should see that as the new normal.
New normal, I think so.
The new normal, selling directly, at
Yeah.
least as one part of it.
Partly, yes.
So thank you for today. That was a Commerce Snacks. And next time, I haven't decided, or we haven't decided what to talk about, but you are welcome next time as well. See you.
Goodbye.